Welcome. I'm Hesse McGraw. I'm Executive Director of Contemporary Arts Museum Houston. And today I'm joined by Jessica Phifer from Christie's to tell you more about the artworks in CAM's 2020 art auction, which opens Monday, June 22nd at noon. Thank you for joining me, Jessica.
Thank you for including me, Hesse. I have been supporting the CAM in these auctions for too many years to count, and it is a delight and honor to be with you all in this new format today. Thanks for having me.
So obviously for us, this is a very different format. Normally, the auction is part of an incredible gala where we're gathered together in the museum, and now we're doing it a little bit differently. So nevertheless, we're excited to share this work. There's incredible work that is available through the auction. And I think it's important to state that in this moment, really, we believe that the artists' trust in CAM and their commitment to CAM it's really what fuels us. But also the artists are, by sharing their work through this format, expressing belief in our mission and working to support future artists who will be engaged with CAM through exhibitions, through programs, through events. So first, we want to thank you. Thanks to all the artists who have donated and gifted their work to this auction. So first, talk about Reed Anderson's work. And the work that's available is called Backyard Brazil. And it's interesting to me because it comes out of a very particular approach that Reed has developed. It's almost a kind of anti-printmaking, or sort of an approach to printmaking that's not fussy. And in his words, he referred to his technique as somewhat ham-fisted, but there's a sort of embrace of what's ad hoc, what's sort of loose about the process. So, and as you can see in the piece, it combines a kind of delicate hand-cut lace work with a sort of freewheeling sensibility around color, around layers. It's the idea of a kind of unfinished or almost ad hoc aesthetic, but it's really a wonderful jewel-like piece. So we're really pleased to offer this.
Next up, the one and only Art Guys. This piece is titled Three More Ideas and Another Joke, from a very cool series titled 101 of the World's Greatest Sculpture Proposals Unrealized, many fantastical and absurd. The Houston duo, comprised of Michael Galbraith and Jack Massing, the Art Guys, were making performance and conceptual art pieces together for some 34 odd years, and had an extraordinarily rich history with the CAM in particular. Their exhibition in 1995, their solo exhibition, was legendary. But of course, they've been included in some 200 odd exhibitions, and I believe something like 40 solo exhibitions. As you know, Michael Galbraith very sadly passed away in 2019, and he made an arrangement with the CAM last year that he would donate a piece to CAM's auction, and sadly he passed. And then Jack Massing very generously, posthumously honored his wishes by donating this work to this auction. So the Art Guys matter in any event. They uniquely matter deeply to Houston, but I think it goes without saying that this piece in this context takes on whole new tender implications. So this is something to definitely bid on. Next up, Leila Babirye. This chick is so cool. This is from the Kuchu series, Queer Ugandans from 2019. It's acrylic and pen on paper. Leila is a Ugandan refugee living and working in New York. And her work focuses on queer narratives of Ugandans today and historically. And her sculptural work was featured in CAM's Stonewall 50 exhibition. From what I understand, her work on paper is very well represented by the piece we have in the auction here. She's a hot ticket. Her work is very much steeped in activism, and I find her very compelling. And it's really pretty cool that this piece is included in the auction.
Okay, next up is Derek Boshier's work, David Bowie as Lodger #2, and there's an incredible story behind this work. Derek is an artist who's been in 2 CAM solo exhibitions in 1981 and 1995. I don't know, I think he's one of the only artists who have had multiple solo exhibitions. So Derek is an early proponent of British pop art, and this work references his cover for David Bowie's 1979 LP Lodger, which was the final LP in the Berlin trilogy. Many would say that was David Bowie's kind of prime era, or at least the most classic era. So the piece itself is kind of wonderful ink on paper work, has a lot of energy, incredible movement to it. It's a really special inclusion in the auction. Next is Stephen Charles, Piaf Maple, and I'm sure I've mispronounced it, but it's a kind of beautiful title. And you know, this work is very special. It's one of these artworks which you really have to see in person. It's quite small. It's 12 by 12 inches, but there's an extraordinary depth that's built up within a shallow surface. So Stephen's process is quite meticulous, where he's building up layers and patterns, sometimes even continuing to work on labor over a single work for years. And I'd say it's both in some ways a kind of maximalist style while having this sort of extraordinary all over composition that really draws you in as a kind of lure or magnet. Stephen's from Dallas, and among a great generation of University of North Texas artists to emerge in the 1990s. So really grateful to have this piece and to share it with you.
Next up, Dana Frankfort. Love Dana. This piece is titled And. It's from 2020, 24 by 24 inches. Dana, as many of you know, is a painting professor at U of H. Dana went to Skowhegan. She was a core fellow at Glassell. She won a Guggenheim Fellowship in 2006. She's very accomplished and is what one could call a painter's painter. She is a master of all the techniques she employs, and her works play with verbal language and visual language, and she really has established her own visual language. You know a Dana Frankfort when you see one, and her style is that the words are obscured and abstracted through a very rigorous process of scraping and sanding and layering pigment, and she's fabulous. And any good Houston collection has to have a Dana Frankfort in it. So thrilled that she's in the sale.
Okay, and we have this work, Framed Print Tower by Francesca Fuchs. It's very subtle, alluring acrylic on canvas, and it's 24 inches by 20 inches. Francesca was also a core fellow at Glassell in 1996 and presented a solo show at CAM in 2007. Then in 2018, Art League Houston named Francesca the Texas Artist of the Year. So this painting is part of a series where homes of her past are recreated from memory. So a kind of a painting of a painting. And it's, the painting is intimate, but I would say that it explores the experience of everyday life through recollection, through memory, through a kind of yearning for a place that is perhaps not nostalgic, but rather calls up the sort of spiritual and aspirational qualities of a place. So it's a really beautiful painting, and it's one that draws you in.
Next up for me, Joe Havel, our dear Joe Havel. This piece is titled Friction, Riverstones from 2014. Joe is the director of the Glassell School of Art at MFA, and this piece is particularly relevant to CAM because he had a similar sculpture titled Endless that was featured in CAM's Art on the Lawn series from 2013 to 2015, and it too was a similar stack of cast resin books rising from the fountain. For decades, Joe has been working in bronze, in resin, and fiber sculpture, and weaving these personal narratives within larger historical forces, commenting on minimalism, on constructions of identity, the construction of history as a personalized fable or fiction. He's a deep well. I think Houston feels like he's very much one of our own, and we're lucky to have him here. He's a lovely artist. I'm thrilled it's in the auction.
Thank you, Jessica. So this is just our first of 3 installments, which we'll be releasing in chapters in a way. So if you did not see your favorite work discussed in this installment today, please tune in for our next conversations. Bidding for CAM's 2020 art auction will open on Monday, June 22nd at noon, and you can get more information at cam.org/auction. Thank you, Jessica, and we'll see you again shortly.
Bye.